Boom, we are alive, ladies and gentlemen. New camera angle for you today. This is Tio and the Arcane Bear. We're going to be taking a look at Bitcoin, our favorite digital assets, and we're going to be making a little bit of conjecture today around some of the news that we see coming out around Apple and Bitcoin potentially. Now, as Tesla made the first move, it's very likely that we're going to see more of these moves come to the table. So if we are live right now and everything is going smoothly, please give us those thumbs up. I'm just going to actually here double check because I don't see that we are live. Oh, yes, we are live. Okay, fantastic. You never know, hey? So I was sent this just yesterday by one of our private Bear Den members. And so we're just going to drop in and take a look at it. So here you can see RBC, Apple should follow Tesla and create a crypto exchange. Now, this is purely conjecture, but for today, let's start off by reading this. RBC Capital Markets, a global investment bank, has issued a new note to clients in which it advised Apple to establish its own cryptocurrency exchange. This is what Bloomberg is reporting. So, RBC analyst Mitch Steve says modernization of Apple's wallet into a cryptocurrency exchange would be a clear multi-billion-dollar opportunity for the firm. Steve estimates then that Apple could profit over $40 billion annually with revenue in support of crypto. He also believes that Apple's decision to buy Bitcoin would significantly increase the amount of potential in clients. So far, Apple has not made any single hint of this potential support for cryptocurrency in its marketplace, but on October 2019, Apple's chief executive Tim Cook said that the company was not considering the possibility of launching its own cryptocurrency. Back then, Apple CEO said that a currency should stay in the hands of the countries. Now, I'm very positive that a lot of this is coming, at least from the conjecture that we saw around Facebook's aim at creating a digital currency and how quickly they were shot down by the SEC, as well as a bunch of regulators. Now, this is a little bit of a different opportunity for Apple here, not creating their own cryptocurrency, rather kind of sidelining and working with the tokens that are already out there. So Tim Cook says, I'm not comfortable with the idea of a private group setting up a competing currency. Now, this is where we drastically disagree because I don't see why the government should be allowed to create and manage currency however they can choose to, when we really have no vote and no say on how that money gets spent, where it goes. And although let's say they've done an okay job, just to be like at least from a middle road here, there's been massive flaws in the way they've managed currency and money for many years in many different countries. And personally, I prefer tech over government choices because at least we know what the code says. And we can all agree on that instead of whoever we happen to be voting in from 1 week or every quarterly year period to another. So in the meantime, Apple's revenue for the first quarter of fiscal 21 experienced a 21% increase compared to the same period of 2020 of $114 billion. So again, we can take a look at this, and this was originally first posted on Bloomberg, which we are looking at now. Again, Apple should follow in Tesla's footsteps. Now, Tesla made a huge move here, and it likely is going to lead to many other companies looking to fill their balance sheets and their treasuries with more than just cash. Now, one of the main differences here that I think a lot of people are starting to recognize is that currency and money are two different things. Number one, currency is much more like current moving through an electrical system. You need it to be constantly and flowing with velocity. Money is more like the battery for that electricity system, where you store that value before you expend it. Now, only recently have people started to recognize that currency and money are two different things, and that's extremely important to understand. Why is that important to understand? Is because for a long time, people have called US dollar money, and it is not money. It is currency. Currency is designed to be inflated to make up for the capital wealth that's being generated from new people being born on a year-over-year basis. Money, on the other hand, is supposed to store that value. So you have a very different connection. Again, one like a battery, one like the flow of that energy through the wire after it leaves the battery. Companies for the first time are realizing that why would you want to sit on cash when they're inflating it on purpose every year, telling you even when it was just at 2%, over 50 years, your cash positions would be worth 100% less, blatantly stealing 100% of your purchasing power. That's not money at all. So this is a big move, I think, in a lot of companies to really recognize that cash and currency are not money. Big fucking difference. Okay. Clearly, there's a bunch of this. Again, Apple, RBC, analyst price target for $175, embracing a rally, multi-billion-dollar business, opening its wallet to crypto. This is what RBC is suggesting. Not confirmed yet, but we could see more go down this direction. So the next thing on our list, Avalanche. Yummy, by the way. Yummy King Avalanche. up at $32, but that's not where I wanted to start today. Bitcoin, yes, there we go, $47,000 Bitcoin. We broke right through the top of this resistance line. We did not spend any time waiting there. And we can see right now a little bit of decreasing volume and the price has stayed rather stable. So this, I believe, is going to be the backup phase. We've made a little bit of conjecture in our previous videos that seeing as I got reaccumulation schematic 2 wrong, which is what I thought we were going to witness, schematic 3 looks a lot more likely. And remember, guys, when we are hunting these things out in the wild, do not expect them to look identical. Just getting even something similar like this, where you'd see like a slight backup phase to like $44,000 before going to, I think, 80, 100, maybe $200,000 over the next few months, is extremely important. So I've been buying, I still accumulate at these prices because I'm a rather smart investor and I know how a bull market works. So for those of you that are new to the ecosystem, understand that one of the worst parts about being a new investor is that it's like a disease and a sickness of the mind. You're going to make a lot of emotional and uneducated mistakes. And the best way to create a healthy environment and a cure for that is by joining a group of individuals that know what they're doing and going through the studying process. So that way, when you walk out on the rest of your day and your portfolio, your education can walk in and take over, and you can do what I do, and you can do what other smart investors are doing, like Elon Musk, and you can accumulate Bitcoin at still reasonable prices. And this is one of the really interesting things about being able to study. So join the private links in the group down below and join a group of over 600 private investors who are working daily to create a better portfolio and a more emotionally consistent and well-educated environment. So although we did not get the Bitcoin retracement correct here, as I did think we were going to get something that looks very similar to a schematic 2, which would have brought us down to around 33,000. This indication that we have now, that we broke above the creek much more quickly, is actually an extremely bullish signal. This is the most powerful out of all the reaccumulation patterns that we have. So what does that mean? That means the next move, the next scenario that we see probably screams us to 60, 80, and into the hundreds of thousands of dollars. And we made conjecture about this previously by looking at our back in 2017. If you want to watch that, just go back to yesterday's video. So for the rest of the day, we're going to go over the rest of our tokens. Now, Ethereum, looking great, currently breaking outside the top of our pattern here. Again, looking very bullish for Ethereum. We are finally getting to the ends of the stage of the backup here for Ethereum. We're probably going to be headed to $2,600 very, very soon. That's my current conjecture. And then Link here also finally in its backup phase and looking very, very bullish. Finally, we did see this first kind of jump in volume. So now we're looking for a decline to complete our SOS phase. Again, guys, do your homework so you can catch up on all this stuff as we move forward. Cardano also very bullish. We've seen these plays before on the reaccumulation pattern where you're riding up above the very top like this. Wowee. I'm very bullish on Cardano here as well. As you can see, this kind of rising channel we've seen multiple times break out to the upside. In Ethereum, we saw that. In Aave, we saw that. In Cardano, and a few others. So keep in mind, when we see these rising channel bottoms, what looks like a rising wedge, but just ignore pattern traders because they don't know what they're talking about most of the time. We can see, again, Link, Cardano did that twice, and it's forming it again. And Bitcoin, just prior to its huge move and its breakout, formed a very similar rising gradient breakout channel effectively here. I'll just quickly draw it like this. So when we see these, they're almost like arrows to the sky is what they look like. These are very bullish patterns in a bull market. Now, if we were after distribution, I would be getting the fuck out of a position, but we are well into the bull market, so no need to be scared here at this point. Just an important thing to know is to, again, increase your guys' education. You'll do much better in the markets when you do so. Avalanche, one of our favorite players to date. Tech team absolutely rants and raves about Avalanche. We broke out of this pattern, and in the private group, we went over this today in our webinar. So for those of you in the private group, you'll be able to find that link in the Discord channel. If you did not make the live webinar, again, what I want to point out here is this kind of change in character that looks like it starts to go parabolic. Once you see these lower highs, things start to go kind of manic. Now, we are witnessing something very similar in KNC. So the private members got an update around KNC from when we were at $1.20. And as you can see, this lower high kind of parabolic curve starting to take place. Also, same thing in Band. We sent this private update for Band at $5. We are currently at 13, almost 200% higher than our initial entries there, which is good. Although I got my later entries off at around $7. But look again at the curve and the change of these higher lows as we start to move up. This is a really, really clear indicator, in my opinion, and at least what I think. I'm basically reflecting the market's opinion at this point, that we're going to see some monster moves coming out of the DeFi sector here very shortly. We've seen a lot of that already. Multiple other signals. If I actually jump over here, I could probably open another one. Let's take a look at how 1inch performed in here as well. Some of you guys I see are asking questions about different tokens. The easiest way to get my interest there is to drop super chats, because there's a ton of people commenting at any given moment. So just drop a super chat and it's probably a lot easier for me to see what's going on. I wanted to use, what was it? Sushi. Yeah, Sushi as an example. And probably Kava, I think, was one of the other ones we tried to get out, but we can only produce so much content at a time. Again, look at the way the change of character moves through almost a parabolic shift. See how it slowly starts to go up and up and up and up. This is where we start to go absolutely ballistic in the markets, and these are some of the most exciting times, but they don't last forever. So please know that if you're entering into the markets now, you're probably going to be profitable, but only for a period of time until we come back crashing down potentially. Some of the assets sometimes end up being worth nothing. We don't know. Venture capital is really important for that type of play. So please understand that when you're making VenCap investments, they're volatile, right? So Sushi Swap, we could, as a VenCap, here you go, 3,700%. So that means if you put $1,000 in there on November 5th, it's now worth 37,000. Again, really, really important to play there. I think that when you guys are growing and you're working through your educational process, understanding that small amounts of capital in the VenCap sector can do really well, but it's about patience through time, because 6, 9, 12 months, a year, 2 years from now, Sushi Swap might not be worth anything, because effectively maybe it's all built on Avalanche, and then maybe Ethereum is worthless because Avalanche is better than Ethereum. Now, I'm not saying that's the case, but technology moves so quickly. You want to be pretty active in your portfolio at the top for taking profits, reallocating into things like Bitcoin that are clear market leaders for everything that we've been looking at in this DeFi sector, because Bitcoin effectively is DeFi, right? It's a decentralized finance. Somehow DeFi became this big pitch and sales world that dropped onto the scene. So I don't think it's too far out of the realm to say that, again, when you're making these venture capital investments, small amounts can yield huge results. Entering into something like Bitcoin seems like a much more stable long-term investment, because generally the longer one thing has been around, the longer it will continue to be around. But technology disappears in the blink of an eye. We went from cassettes to CDs to MP3 players, and now no one has an MP3 player. They just have a cell phone that does everything. You don't even need a DVD. Like, you can literally stream videos that had high speed gigabytes from LTE. Like, a lot of people don't even have a TV anymore. They just watch on their phone. So remember that technology rapidly replaces itself. It's very important to remember that, because you can, if you're limiting your VenCap investments, you're not worried about losing $1,000. If you have 10 of those, 3 of them are right. So you get $300,000 from those 10. You lost $8,000, but you made 300. That's a great VenCap play. So keep that in mind. We're always really looking at that long-term strategy of how we get into and out of positions, because it's difficult to get it right. So what we do is we play in aggregate. So we know, hey, I don't know everything. I don't know who the winner is going to be. So let me play in aggregate. This is a much smarter way to go through that line. So we're looking really bullish in everything. Bitcoin, Ethereum, we dropped right down to that 1530 mark that we had talked about in our previous video. I was obviously wrong about Bitcoin, but again, to our benefit, this is a significantly more bullish pattern. It is the most bullish pattern we have. So buckle up for Bitcoin. When it screams next, we're going to hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's my guess. Yes. So I want to pretty much we'll leave it at that for the beginning part of this episode. I want you guys, please give us the thumbs up if you like this content. If you're new to the channel, remember to subscribe and hit the little notification bell. That way, every time we go live, you'll be notified. And for those of you that don't know, I'm going to be doing a live stream every day going over this content and helping create that cure and that healthy environment for the sickness of the average investor, because there's a lot of YouTubers out there who just sell, shill, hype, and try to get you to play leverage. It's a bad idea. Don't do that. It's really easy to make money in a bull market. So don't fuck around and just play the smart game right now, which is learn how to be a good investor, not a good trader, because that takes years of practice. Although you can kind of skip some time if you study really hard, it still takes years of practice. It's like playing an instrument, basically. So I'll spend the last part of today's episode going over some of your guys' thoughts and questions. I'll try not to go over too many charts. I know if you're like, oh, Litecoin. I've already gone over Litecoin. Again, its movement is significantly less exciting for me. When you have Aave up 27,000%, well, why the fuck would you care about Litecoin, right? Wow, yeah, a little bit of Litecoin games. Like, no, that's not that interesting to me. Although, I guess what we will do for our private members, we sent out an update on GRT about 48 hours ago. So we'll take a look at that. We got it out the door right in time. So shout out to Blue for that one. As you can see, what we were, I actually had charted this up the other day. We're in our backup phase now, but this is what a nice cup and handle looks like. It takes many, many weeks to months often. This one is actually a little shorter. You're only talking about 39 days, so it's kind of just on the cusp of where we like, which is minimum a few weeks for a cup and handle to form. Anyone who's showing you a cup and handle on the 4 hour doesn't know a whole lot about market analysis and trading. That's my personal thoughts on that. So when you're looking for a cup and handle, what you're trying to do is recognize that pattern through an accumulation range. So here we have just that. We have our buying climax, and shout out to Blue here. Primary support. Does that work? Yeah. Oh no, it didn't work. Oh well, we'll figure it out next time. I wonder why it doesn't just drop here. Let's take a look. Okay, next time we'll figure it out. But anyways, we've got our primary support here, which is down at the POC line. Jeez, come on here. Primary support. Our automatic rally. Our selling climax or our shakeout here. Let's go shakeout for now. Keep it the same way. You could call it a secondary test as well. Both work. So when you're going over this stuff, guys, you don't have to be perfect. Here's our spring on lower volume, but notice the wick here, very important. Spring. And then we started to see our first run against resistance, and then our first test. And then now we're in the SOS and backup phase. Now what's fun about these backup phases and the SOS is this is where the markets start to get really exciting. Now I always like to try to make a little bit of conjecture, and as you can see here, we've been rising off of this channel. But more importantly, if we go back to what we were talking about before, which is this kind of parabolic momentum that starts to come out, these are clear indicators to me that when we start to get moves on the next cycle here, they're going to be absolutely monstrous, and they're probably not going to last forever. So keep that in mind, right? Entries into this sector you wanted to be doing, well, to some degree back for GRT here at least. Small Venn cap entries in January was fine, but here this is probably some of the nicest stuff is right out of these backup phases, because this is where you'll get the most potential volatility with the least time for waiting. So super important. Okay, we'll leave it at that for today's episode. I just wanted to go over GRT because it is something we went over in the private update. So again, Band doing great so far. Our original PDF for Band went out at $5.20, which is way down here, up at 143. KNC we got out at around, I think, $7 or sorry, $1.20 right here. Currently up at 60 to 80% there. And GRT, I think we got out right here at around 84 cents. So we're seeing some really nice educational PDFs come out from the Bear Forge. So shout out to Baloo for helping us do that. And we'll be really, really excited. So I will go over some of your guys' thoughts and questions here for the finality of today's episode. Remember to give us a thumbs up if you like this content, and please subscribe because that helps the channel grow. I would like to get to like 100,000 subscribers. It's just, why not? I would love to get that YouTube thing to put back here, kind of a narcissistic goal of mine, but I'd love that. So the more of you guys that subscribe, the more we can appease Tiho's ego with a YouTube subscribe button. Little goal of mine I'd like to have. Anyways, we'll load this up. We'll take a look and see how it goes. So some of your guys' thoughts and questions is, can you go over Theta? Yep, we are producing a PDF for our private members on Theta. Again, so if you want to join our private group, but I have to subjugate some of the content that we produce because, you know, that's where the value comes from. That way we can grow, create more content, and continually bring these ideas to the table. Alejandra says, can we deduce that Apple is very interested in altcoins for their technologies? I already see Hoskinson's beautiful smile. Well, no, we have no idea. We can't really make conjecture around that type of stuff because these guys move very slowly. They don't want to risk their underlying portfolio. They may open a secondary part of their company to try out these things, but internally, Apple's already like $1 trillion company, so they're not too interested. They're not going to mess around with that, right? So it's important to remember that because they don't want to mess around with their underlying products and services, it's probably not worth it to them. Although including something like an exchange where they're not liable for the underlying assets, but they can have onboarding and offboarding processes for their Apple wallet, much like PayPal has done, seems like a very smart choice for them. We'll do music at the end of the episode. Yes, guys, thank you for asking. People like Arc here, they just don't know what they're talking about. They're newbies in the market, and you can tell by the way they speak. So generally, guys, if people are speaking very emotionally about the markets, they probably don't know a goddamn thing about what they're speaking about. So just ignore people like that. That's like the best way to go. Find people that are calm and confident in the market cycles, and you'll do much better. Tio, can you invite the AVAX CEO onto the show? Really impressive guy. I've tried to reach out to them. I've pinged them on Twitter. I've got my tech team to ask them, and they haven't responded. Maybe it's because they're busy building shit. Very likely answer. But I will try again because I'm really excited about Avalanche, and I have been screaming at the top of my lungs about them for a while now. So we'll try to get them on the show. I think they've got a really great product. But again, I'm just basically reiterating what my team says. Arcane Bear, is it safe to go long on ADA now? That's not a question you should be asking. There's so many variables in how you just ask that question too. I'm not going to give you an answer for that. Really, again, guys, the sickness and the disease of the new investor's mindset is under-education and over-emotional investing and trading, just like we heard right there. The best way to overcome that and create a healthy environment, or like the cure, is by joining the private group in the links down below, where we've got over 600 private members. That way, when you want to learn and you want to educate yourself, you've got somewhere to do that in a group that's all focusing on understanding the same thing. But aside from answering that question, that's your own question to answer. None of this is financial advice. We just provide educational confidence so that way, if you want to answer your own question of whether you should go long in Cardano or not, that's up to you, little man. Like, put your big boy pants on and learn how to play the game. That's what I got to say to that. I mean, I'm not to tag anyone's line there, but get your shit together. Okay. Thracian says, hey Bear, an educational question more or less. Where can we actually find wholesome information about the cryptocurrency as a whole, as in terminology, overview of what is what, etc.? Not really sure. That's a pretty broad question. I wouldn't suspect you're going to find it in any one place. You can check arcanebear.com. We've got a bunch of free resources where you can learn from, but we also obviously have our private side where we focus on making sure that a lot of that stuff is for the private members, because that's where we can focus energy on helping people build and grow together. So next questions. Can you go over OMG? I think it's really interesting. Yeah, OMG is cool. It looks good. It's not been on my radar just due to how many other things have more percentage gains in the same amount of time. So I'm looking for market leaders, not market laggers. That's why I don't really look at Litecoin or the other ones. If you guys drop super chats though, I have give me no choice but to take a look at them. But that's a different story. Just if you're just asking, I have, that's my quick conjecture. Yeah, definitely guys, if you're looking for books to read, I'm going to create a part on the Arcane Bear website where you can find all of my favorite books. But for now, on the top of the list, it's Reminiscence of a Stock Operator. Tio, why doesn't LTC have the same growth potential as other cryptos like Avalanche? The technology is just old. It's not as exciting. I mean, even Bitcoin to some degree, you're like, meh, it's kind of boring technically, right? I like new, exciting things, hidden gems that no one's thinking about. That's my favorite. I loved Bitcoin when no one else really liked it. Now that all the big boys are in, I'm like, nah, we can find something better. It's just my style. I was like big into ayahuasca way before it was cool. Now that it's cool, I'm like, meh, whatever. It's just another fad for people who want to like, oh my God, I'm like in the thing that's popular now. Not to say that's a bad thing. Look, popularizing Bitcoin is an amazing thing, by the way. I'm not trying to like discount that in case anyone wonders. I just personally like finding hidden gems before anyone else does. Bastabish says, hey Tio, I'm charting Wyckoff distribution on ADA. No, you're not. That's definitely not distribution. You are missing the point. Yes, for sure. You got to definitely study deeper on the volume qualities of ADA. Again, you're not seeing distribution here at all. There's no upthrust action. There's no supply change coming in that would produce that. So you're just hallucinating distribution, in my opinion, because I don't see it there at all. Now I do see a declining volume and a rising price for the most part. So that looks bullish to me. Just there's my 2 seconds of thought. I live in the Netherlands. Well, if you're in the private group, that's fine. We always record the webinars and they are posted in the private group. So watch the webinars then instead if you can't make the live versions. We still record them. Zoom out. How about like this? Like that or like this? Or like that? Or like this? One of those two, right? I don't even know. Now I gotta look back. Where are we? We're too close to my face. Okay, there we go. There we go. We'll zoom out a little bit. Yeah, that's what we want. Back to the charts. A few more thoughts and questions. Would you ever try licking a hallucinogenic frog? No need for me to do that. I grow ayahuasca on the property right here. Like here, hold on, check it out. This will be fun for you guys. Check it out. Hold on, we're gonna do this. We're gonna flip the camera around. Can I do this really easily? Yeah, we totally can. Oh, it's not on this one. Damn. Well, take a look anyways. Here you go. Bloop, 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 bloop. So outside there, right out where it says love, that's an ayahuasca vine. And we have Mimosa hostilis out there as well, which is one of the strongest containing DMT plants on the planet. So there's no need to lick frogs because we grow plants and, well, whatever. Not medicinal advice there, guys, but, you know, I like plants. Okay, next thoughts. Let's take a look. Synthetics, yeah, we're going to go over that one in the private group as well. Can you play an instrument? I've got the guitar restrung today, so I've got a treat for you guys, although I did just put new strings on it, so chances are it's not actually in tune just quite yet anyway, so I'm going to have to double down on that and make sure she's in tune. Okay. Let's see. How to understand when is the best moment to sell small caps? Yeah, look for distribution at the end of the bull market. That's the simple answer. Tio, king of the jungle. Well, I'm the king of the jungle. I'm the jungle VIP. I hit the top. I did not stop. I broke through and now I'm free. Something like this, right? Hi, Bear. For the people who have only one Ethereum or so at the end of the bull run to move value into other coins, no, what you should be doing is going back to work and accumulating more because it sounds like you're just beginning and you're going to make mistakes trying to trade back and forth between things. So your best bet is just to practice accumulation first until you get that down. That's like the first good step of an investor. Because, yeah, it's my personal spot. Play some djembe. I do have a djembe, well, a doumbek actually, not a djembe. Different sound. Not as much. Awesome. Carping Quality says, hi, Bear, for the people of, oh, wait, you just asked that question and I just answered it. If you know, if you do stuff like that, guys, if you like keep spamming contents because you want me to see it, comments because you want me to see it, I'll just ban your ass. So don't do that because I don't need that crap. We love plants too. Great. My wife's a master herbalist. Congratulations, Mountain Views. Good work on having such an awesome wife. Are you invested in ADA? Yep. That was a simple answer. Can you watch Elrond? Can you? Huh? Yeah, of course I can. I can do anything, guys. I can literally do anything. What can't I do? So that's a better question. But will I? Nah, depends. You'd have to incentivize my interest. And this is a live stream where I'm trying to figure stuff out. I love your Goofy. Thanks, guys. What do you think will happen in the Chinese New Year? The next day will come right afterwards? It won't make any difference. Can you please look at easy? Nope. I'm not just going to do stuff like that for you guys just because you ask. Sorry. I mean, I will sometimes when I'm feeling in a generous mood, but right now I'm just going to go over conjecture or things that we already have on the screen. Yeah. What can you not do? Yeah, exactly. Well, so far, wait, what can't I do? Apparently I can't fly to Canada and then leave Canada again. That would be something that I can't do, apparently. So I'm staying in Central America. Actually, I'm finishing my residency here, too. So this is my full-time home. Will your ginger tea be available in the U.S.? Maybe one day, but currently we're just working on our we're working on our health stuff in Costa Rica, so it'll take some time. And the FDA approvals in the United States are like $150,000, so it's not cheap to get approved for the USDA. What the fuck? The FDA approvals for beverages. Play your guitar. I will play the guitar. Do some vlogs. I will do some vlogs. Thank you guys for that. Talk about CR more. Okay, I will make some vlogs about Costa Rica because so many of you guys keep asking about that, and I love this country, so I will. How about your house rent? I own my property. I built this house 7 years ago. I have 2 acres, private well. I have a little waterfall on the property. You can see that in some of my other videos. Do you still listen to Cliff High? I love Cliff High. I think he's brilliant. I love listening to people who are not afraid to risk thinking outside of the box. I'm not looking for someone to be right. I'm looking for someone to break the boundaries, or at least push them. Is there a synthetic version of Avalanche on Ethereum? No, but even better than that, what you have are these new cross-chain swaps, because Avalanche is absolutely amazing. Don't use this platform, by the way. I'm just showing you, or do whatever you want. I don't care. It's up to you. Take responsibility for yourselves. You can actually go cross-chain transfer, and you can transfer from Ethereum into Avalanche, and now you can run the entire DeFi sector on Avalanche for basically nothing. Look, Avalanche is one of the ones I think that it could actually just completely replace Ethereum in a very short period of time. So there's that. Okay, phase 2, BTC share. All right, there we go. Back to trading view. How much for a 10-acre jungle plot? A hell of a lot more than when I first bought down here. That's for damn sure. Who's your favorite musician? Danny Carey, by far. Followed by like a few Indian instrumentalists and Maynard. I love Maynard's side project, Pussifer, by the way. Carping Quality says, how long will you continue to accumulate more ETH until we get to the end of... Okay, you know what, actually, guys, this is maybe a fun moment for me to go over some of the stuff I was looking at earlier today. On Glassnode, yay. So here's our Glassnode. This is one of our favorite ways to do kind of a market opinion and an update as well. I did live in Ecuador, for those of you that just asked that. I also have lived in Colombia, Peru, Guatemala, Bali, Singapore, where else? Malaysia. I lived in Hawaii for almost a year, although I'm not legally allowed back in the United States. That's a different story. Okay, this is actually Aave. And what we want to do is go back to our favorites here, and we'll start with Bitcoin liquid supply chain. So again, guys, one of the fun ways that I'm going to really manage my emotions around the understanding of the bull market is this unique perspective that Glassnode provides us that we didn't used to have, which is great, because it's always really nice when you have something that you didn't used to have, but that helps you understand where you are in the market. So liquid supply chain shows how much open supply there is coming in or leaving the market. So as you can see, we've had no new supply come into the market since Bitcoin was at $20,000, and it's all been leaving. Until we start to see big green swings of Bitcoin coming onto the open market, I'm staying fundamentally very bullish. And again, I think that's upwards of $200,000 to $300,000 per Bitcoin, potentially, right? So keep that in mind. On the next stage of things here too, we can look at this by going to, we have the stock to flow ratio. Now this is only really relevant when there's demand, but there's demand right now, so we can use it. Here we can see, let's actually scroll out into the future, into 2020, and we can look at the different halvings. So the stock to flow model shows the relationship between price and aggregate quantities of Bitcoin being mined. So as you can see, the stock to flow model in 2017 had the aggregate price at around $5,000, and we shot up to 20,000. So approximately 4 times higher than the stock to flow model's pricing is where we ended up. So if we do the same at that today, that would put us, that could put us at $400,000 for Bitcoin, right? And I have a very real feeling that we're going to get somewhere up that high before we come crashing back down to around 100, maybe 80, 60, and then spend a year or two reaccumulating, probably between 2022 and 2024 before the next halving kind of shoves the price up. And again, this is all based off of demand. So for some reason, the demand starts to totally decrease. This stock to flow model would not hold any more sensibility. But as you can tell right now, we are early on in this bull market, and the stock to flow model puts us at an average of around $100,000 per Bitcoin at the current value transaction. So the miner net position change is another one I've added to the list lately that I like to watch for where we are in the market price. And just as well here, you can see that the miners net position have actually been taking a little bit of profits off the table recently. So they've been selling. Now, not a bad thing. They have to buy more gear and update, and things break, and they've got employees to pay and electricity bills. So this is quite normal for them to be taking profits at this point. And as you can see, this kind of started back on January 1st. A lot of the big miners started selling, but there's a lot of demand for accumulation, so it doesn't really seem to matter all that much. The other one that we like to look at is exchange balance percent, which shows how much Bitcoin there is on the open exchanges. And right now you can see it's every day since March 11th. Boom, there's March 11th. The peak of the pandemic, we've been declining massively. So March 11th is a very important date. I want everyone to keep that day in mind, just astrologically speaking, for probably a bunch of reasons, but we'll go over that when we're older. And I think that answers that question. As you can see, though, we've dropped dramatically. From March 11th, we were at 16% of all Bitcoin on open markets, down to around 12%. So that means most of this is sitting on cold wallets. Again, there's around 4 million Bitcoin that are forever lost in the trash dumps of the world. One of the biggest holders of Bitcoin is actually trash dumps, so keep that in mind. Michael Saylor, Grayscale, all combined don't have as much as the trash dumps do. So thank the trash dumps for being such good hodlers of the asset, because they are forever lost. Much larger philosophical conversation around that, but here we go. Back into Ethereum, we can see the exchange balance stacked percent as well. On Ethereum, we'll start to do more of this as we break down, but again, what we're looking for is a change of character for the upside, which we don't have. Currently, again, Ethereum leaving exchanges. And the exchange balance percent is a lot more noticeable. Since, what was this? January 17th, when we saw that first kind of shakeout, massive amounts of Ethereum have left the market, and we're currently down only at 13.3% of all Ethereum left on the open market right now. So the exchange balance, again here, just another great way to see this. It has massively dropped over the last month and a half here. So I'm just going to leave it at that, guys. Thank you for joining us on today's episode. I really hope you enjoyed this. Remember, if you're new to the Bear family, please subscribe. Hit that little like button and that little bell. That way, every time we go live, which will be every day this year, bar none, you guys will be notified. We love doing this stuff. We've got more content to bring for you guys, especially the private members, because that's where we spend most of our time. And I guess a little bit more vlogs around Costa Rica, because of all of you want to see this sexy country that I live in. And we'll leave it at that. Steve with the Arcane Bear, thank you guys all for joining us today. I really, really appreciate your support. It means the world to me. And we'll see you guys again on the next episode.